Hello and welcome to a new edition of Investor Calls. Today we present Fosterville South. This company has 3 properties in the Australian state of Victoria. All 3 claims are located in the immediate vicinity of Kirkland Lake's world-famous Fosterville gold mine. With us today is Bryan Slusarchuk, President and CEO of Fosterville South. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Martin.
Okay, and note to our viewers, you can write your questions for Bryan in the chat window on our website. I will forward them at the end of the call. All right, Bryan, please take over.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for having me on. And thanks to all of the people out there for listening to the story of Fosterville South, how we came to be as a company, and what we're doing going forward. The Fosterville South situation is relatively new as a public company, but it's been a multi-year process in the making. And the situation all goes back to our chief geologist, a fellow by the name of Rex Motton. And Rex is a very successful international geologist, has worked all over the world, but Rex always, while working internationally, kept an eye on his own backyard. And his own backyard, in this instance, is the Victorian Goldfield region. Rex grew up near the Fosterville mine. Today, his home is just minutes away from Kirkland Lake's Fosterville operation. And when Kirkland Lake started to have some of the early success with their Fosterville operations, in particular exploration success, Rex quickly began assembling what is now the premier land package for exploration in Victoria. Fosterville South has approximately 4,000 square kilometers of prospective ground, licenses, license applications, etc. And again, this was assembled over a multi-year process by Rex and Rex's team. And one thing that's very unique as part of the Fosterville South situation is that Rex, many decades ago, started a geological database of the Victoria region. And he maintained that database of exploration, development, production endeavors throughout his career internationally. Often what had started as an academic interest began serving more and more use commercially. And when Victoria started to become a hot place to be, and Victoria right now, for your viewers that don't know, is really experiencing a modern day gold rush. Prior to this modern day gold rush, Rex was able to utilize his backyard hometown advantage and all of the data he had collected over the decades to really choose what we believe are the best properties in the region. Now, with all of this done and with the past year of hard work in the field, geochemical work, mapping, soils work, database compilation, we're now drilling, and this is a very big drill program going forward. We're extremely well funded with more than $25 million in cash on hand. We have some excellent shareholders, as we previously announced. Both Mr. Eric Sprott and Mr. Ross Beatty are large investors in the company, and we see that as a big validation of our efforts. We have some of the premier precious metals exploration focused funds in North America on our share registry. So what we're emerging with going forward is a very drill-centric program. We will be extremely busy with drilling. There will be a lot of drill assay news flow going forward. We have a great share structure. We're extremely well funded. And again, we have this first mover status in this era of Victoria gold exploration, which is really becoming one of the most exciting places in the world to conduct exploration if you're interested in high-grade gold. So that's where we are today. And in the coming weeks, you'll see assay news flow from our ongoing drill programs. We've been very active at our properties called Lauriston, Golden Mountain, Moorumble, and we've recently announced a large 68-hole program planned at one of our projects called Beechworth. We're very active on the ground, and investors will see a whole lot of news flow as the result of that.
Okay, thank you very much, Bryan. I see we have a few questions from the audience that I will pass on to you now. Fosterville South has accumulated a huge land package. What advantage does this give to the company going forward?
Sure, it's a good question. And one of the things that everybody really has to understand when looking at Fosterville South in the context of what's happening in Victoria is that Rex Motton and his team were able to put together this land package before Victoria became such a hot area of the world in terms of exploration. So we've not only assembled a huge land package, but we think it's the premier land package in terms of geological prospectivity. So the advantage we have, number one, big land package, we increase our odds of success. Number two, it's a big land package that was chosen, that was hand-picked based on Rex's understanding of the area, based on decades of data compilation and following along with everything that's gone on in this region. And it's very interesting to note, Martin, that this part of the world was extremely active in terms of mining in the late 1800s up until about 1910, after which point the district has not seen a lot of modern exploration. So in the late 1800s up until about 1910, as I mentioned, there was some extremely high-grade mining reported to have taken place near surface. And what we see when we look at these projects that Fosterville South now has is very high grade and quite sizable in some instances production, high grade gold near surface. But most of this past historic production that was reported was within the first 50 meters from surface. And this area has never seen large, modern, systematic exploration. And one of our goals, of course, is to take a look at levels deeper than that first 50 meters. And Kirkland Lake had their huge success at their Fosterville mine at depth, whereas most of our properties have never been explored at depth. The historic production in the late 1800s didn't benefit from the modern technology and geological knowledge and information sets that we now have today. So we're going to, in many cases within this land package, be taking the first ever large-scale, modern, systematic look at this district. And when we look for these properties, one of our properties, for example, called Lauriston, is a 600 square kilometer land package immediately south and actually adjoining the Kirkland Lake Fosterville mine tenements. When we look at Lauriston, it has the big regional structures running through it that also run through the Kirkland Lake Fosterville mine tenements. It has gold with antimony and spades like the Fosterville mine tenements. And it also has quite significant historic high-grade hard rock gold production reported, but again, near surface. We'll be taking a look at this 600 square kilometer land package that is contiguous with the Kirkland Lake Fosterville mine tenements for the first time ever with a large-scale, modern, systematic exploration approach. So it's very exciting.
Thank you very much, Bryan. Now the next question. What are the key goals for Fosterville South for the short, mid, and long term? And what can we expect in the next 6 months as far as new goes?
Sure. So the past year has been about preparation. We have done some drilling and early results were excellent at Golden Mountain, but we're now following that up at Golden Mountain and also conducting exploration on multiple other targets. But like I say, these past 12 months have been about preparation. They've been about getting the drill permits in place, getting land access agreements in place, hiring drill contractors, building out facilities in the region in terms of warehouse space for the core storage and analysis, etc., and hiring teams of geological professionals to take on exploration. Now, fast forward 12 months, we have in place multiple access agreements, drill permits in hand, great mining contractors in terms of the drilling companies that we've hired to conduct drilling within this exploration program. We have a great team of technical people in Victoria on the ground. And with all of that now accomplished, the next 3, 6, 12 months is all about drilling. We'll see a lot of drill results coming from multiple projects. We'll see a lot of pure exploration, grassroots information coming to us. And at the same time, we'll also be following up on some of these more advanced targets. And in general, what those advanced targets are going into areas that had historic high-grade gold production in the past that have never been looked at with modern exploration techniques, and looking for extensions of those historically reported high-grade zones near surface. We'll be looking at extensions to those zones along strike, at depth, etc. So I would classify the previous 12 months as preparation and getting ready to really launch in a big way in the field, whereas the next 12 months will be very drill-centric, and our growth will be driven by the drill bit. And over the next 90 days, I think you'll start to see a lot of news flow. And we're in what everybody in this industry knows is generally a seasonally weak period of the year. In North America, we call it the summer doldrums, July and August. But in general, as August comes around, we start to see things pick up. Interest comes back into the sector. And I think we're just really well positioned for September when things start to generally pick up. We will have a lot of news flow. We'll have a lot of information coming, a lot of results coming, and we're very excited about that.
Thank you very much, Bryan. The next question is, what are the key risk factors with Fosterville South going forward?
Well, I think that the key risk factors, like for many exploration companies, is commodity dependent. And I like to focus on high-grade gold situations. As some of your viewers will know, I was a co-founder and former president of K92 Mining, which has been a real success story in the space and very focused on high-grade gold. And what we believe is that in looking at these high-grade gold situations, we're more able to adjust in times of poor commodity prices. Grade is king is the old saying, and that saying has a lot of truth to it. Grade is king in the gold exploration space, and I think that even if we see relatively soft gold prices, we can still excel and really deliver value for shareholders. At the same time, I don't believe we're going to be in a weak gold environment. We see quantitative easing infinity. We see escalating amounts of fiscal and monetary stimulus. And we see world economies very much in a state of flux. And as many of your viewers will know, gold for thousands of years has been a hedge against uncertainty. It's been a store of value, and it's been a currency. And gold is the only currency right now that's not being printed with reckless abandon. So I think we're in for a great stretch of time here, perhaps a once in a generation opportunity in the gold equities. So I think we're very well positioned. But I do think it's prudent to point out that if we are in a prolonged weak environment for gold, there may not be as much attention on the space. It's important to point that out as a risk factor, although I don't believe it's a realistic one because I am so bullish on the gold environment.
Gold is the only currency that is not printed. It's a good final word because that's all the questions. So thank you very much, Bryan, for taking the time for our investors today. I'm sure they are also very grateful that you presented this interesting investment opportunity to them today. So see you again. Bye.
Great. Thank you.